99% of men will never do this. Yet it is precisely the one thing that naturally draws women in. Music. It might sound like an exaggeration at first, but think about it. How many men have you seen who are good-looking, confident, and highly successful, music, yet still struggle to build a real meaningful connection? The music truth is, attraction isn't about wealth, looks, or social status. What most men completely miss music are the quiet, subtle habits that operate beneath the surface of conscious awareness. Signals music that speak directly to a woman's emotional core without her even realizing why. And the music most frustrating part, these habits are not complicated. Music, they don't require expensive gifts or years of practice. They simply require awareness, music intention, and the willingness to step outside the shallow patterns most men fall music into. Today, we're going to reveal 5 things women secretly long for, but rarely express. Music, these aren't your typical cliché flirting tricks. These are psychological triggers rooted in human nature and timeless Stoic wisdom, principles that will completely, music, transform how you are experienced. If you haven't mastered these yet, you are missing out on the only type of attraction that truly matters. Not the fleeting interest that vanishes the moment you leave, but music, the deep lingering impression that keeps you in her thoughts weeks and months later. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, music, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the insights, music that could change everything for you. Let's begin. 1. Music, the power of touch before intimacy. Picture yourself, clears throat, and music on a date. The conversation is flowing smoothly. Your music both laughing and everything seems perfect. Yet something music is missing. There's a quiet friction, a feeling that the connection hasn't fully crossed the line. You walk her home, send music, a text later, and then nothing. No response. This is where most men make their first critical mistake. They believe attraction is built solely through words, music, clever jokes, fascinating stories, or endless conversation. But human connection runs much deeper than that. Women do music not just connect with what you say. They connect with how they feel in your presence, your energy, music, your stillness, and your physical awareness. One of the music most overlooked ways to solidify that emotional bond is through touch. Not aggressive, music demanding or forceful touch, but touch that feels entirely natural, gentle, music, and deeply respectful. A soft touch on her arm to emphasize a point, a gentle hand on the lower back to guide her through a crowded room, or briefly holding her hand. These small, quiet gestures communicate more than 1,000 words ever. Music could. Without saying a single thing, they whisper, "I see you.
You're safe with me.
I am fully present right here, right now." The biggest error men make is music linking touch to an expectation. They touch because they want something in return. Music, and women can sense that transactional intention instantly. Instead of creating comfort, music, it creates pressure. But when a man can offer a touch with zero expectations, he immediately stands apart. Music, he becomes a source of safety. And safety is the very bedrock of genuine attraction. By taking the lead physically in a calm, grounded way, you signal that you are a protector. Music, someone who is completely in tune with her comfort. It's a silent, instinctual music, language that human nature has responded to for centuries. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be. Music be one. Be that grounded presence." The men who understand that attraction is not a transaction but music and clears throat, an experience shared in the quietest moments, are the ones who become truly unforgettable. Music, too, the art of flirting with respect and attachment. When it comes to showing interest, most men music end up trapping themselves in one of 2 extreme behaviors. On one side, you have the overeager chaser. He music flirts so intensely, so aggressively that his energy immediately screams desperation. He is trying too hard to impress, trying too hard to force a reaction. On the other side, you have the hesitant protector. The man who holds himself back so much out of fear of rejection or crossing a line that he never signals any romantic interest at all. He becomes safe, predictable, music, and eventually entirely forgotten. The truth, however, exists in a rare, music and powerful middle ground. Women deeply enjoy the dance of flirting, but only when it feels entirely natural, respectful, and backed by a quiet, unshakable confidence. True flirting is not about memorizing clever pickup lines or executing calculated music tactics. It is entirely about energy. It is about your ability to create a relaxed, warm, and slightly playful atmosphere. An environment that generates both absolute comfort and intense curiosity at the exact same time. It should feel like a rhythmic dance. Music, not a job interview. Let's look at a simple example to see how this works in reality. Suppose she mentions that she has a deep love for Italian food. The average man will simply agree, perhaps list his favorite restaurant, music, and quickly move on to another safe topic. He keeps the conversation logical and dry. Music, but a man who understands the subtle art of flirting will look her in the eyes, smile faintly, music, and say, "Are you sure about that? Because you've clearly never tasted my secret version." Music, it's a simple, effortless statement. Yet, in just a few words, music, it injects your personality into the room. It challenges her playfully. Music creates tension and opens the door for a much deeper, more engaging interaction. But here lies the critical turning point where most men fail. They flirt in search of validation. They say something playful and then they anxiously lean in, watching her face to see if she's impressed or if she approves. Ironically, that music exact need for approval is what kills the attraction instantly. It signals that your confidence is fragile and dependent on her reaction. Music, real confidence appears only when you possess what the Stoics call detachment from the outcome. You enjoy the playfulness. You enjoy the interaction, but you are not emotionally attached to the result. You don't need her to laugh. You are simply sharing your authentic, music, playful energy. Your eyes are your most powerful tool in this process. Music, maintaining strong, steady eye contact communicates that you are comfortable with tension. Hold her gaze for a beat longer than usual while she speaks. Then casually, calmly look away before returning your attention back to her. Music, that tiny fracture of visual connection, creates a powerful wave of curiosity. Music, it proves that you are calm, centered, and fully present rather than nervous or rushed. This rare balance is what makes a man genuinely magnetic. Music, it is the ability to show clear interest without a hint of neediness. Music, to express desire without a shred of desperation, and to create intrigue without an ounce of manipulation. This is exactly where Stoic philosophy becomes incredibly valuable in modern dating. Music, the ancient Stoics understood that true worth comes entirely from within. Music, it comes from knowing exactly who you are, completely independent of anyone else's praise, music, criticism, or opinion. When you internalize this truth, flirting ceases to be a stressful performance. It becomes effortless. You are no longer trying to prove your value or win a prize. You are simply revealing your authentic self to another person. Music, and that untamed authenticity, is the most magnetic quality a man can possess. 3. The rare magnetism of active music listening. This next principle might sound almost too simple at first glance, but make no mistake. Music, in a modern world where everyone is chronically distracted, staring at screens, and constantly waiting for their turn to speak, music, genuine listening has become a remarkably rare and precious gift. Most men today treat conversations like a competition. Music, they listen only to respond. While a woman is speaking, they're already formulating their next brilliant point in their head, searching for a way to steer the topic back to themselves, or looking for a moment to subtly brag about their achievements. They aren't truly present. They're just waiting for their cue. But when you can look a woman in the eyes and truly listen to her without interrupting, without immediately rushing to fix her problems, and without turning the spotlight back onto yourself, you are giving her something that almost no one else does. You are giving her your absolute, undivided attention. Music, and that level of presence, is profoundly attractive. Think about how incredibly validating it feels when someone truly listens to you. When they ask thoughtful, piercing questions that prove they've been hanging on to every word. Music, when they casually bring up a tiny detail you mentioned hours or even days earlier, when they make you feel like the thoughts inside your head actually matter, That feeling is intoxicating.